All right. Good afternoon or good morning, everybody. This is your Facebook meteorologist, Sean Bagden here. And we are currently live here in Etna, Wyoming right now. And that's going to be impacting our air through the day today. And then it looks like all the way through potentially even Saturday here. The first main band of precipitation that's going to be impacting our area today is already starting to come into the area, as you can see on the radar screen currently right now. Right over by the Palisades here and into Swan Valley, we have a band of rather intense snow squalls that are currently pushing their way from the west to the east across the area. And within the next 30 minutes here, we can expect some potentially significant road impacts, although briefly across the Star Valley of Wyoming, southern Jackson Hole, it looks like here. As these snow squalls push through, we can expect whiteout conditions for say 10 to 15 minutes or so. And then looking at current wind speeds associated with these snow squalls, we're looking anywhere in the 40 to say 50-mile-an-hour range, which will definitely blow any snow that does fly around quite a bit. Even as the snow squalls pass through Teton Pass here within the next, say, 20 to 30 minutes or so. This is right on the doorstep here. And from reports over in the Swan Valley area, a lot of very intense wind and whiteout conditions have been experienced as these squalls have been pushing through. And as our live stream continues, just wanted to throw this in here. If you guys do have any point forecast for the next, say, 2 to 3 days, we'll be happy to give them. Just post them down in the comments there, and we'll be happy to get back to you on that. But this is our current radar right now. Again, and most of the rest of Wyoming is currently warm and dry, just a little bit on the windy side, but the Wyoming border here, and then over the Salts and Tetons over the next hour or so. Jackson, Wyoming, you are going to be right at the apex of this hook echo right here. We may have some embedded lightning, but that is where the strongest winds are going to be expected, especially as you head along the Palisades here with the apex echo. And then it looks like that's starting to push off to the north and east slightly here. So Jackson, Wyoming would be the next under the gun for the most intense impacts out of these snow squalls here, as long as they hold together over the mountains between Palisades and Jackson there. Also, Star Valley, you're going to be under the gun next with the next 15-20 minutes here for potentially briefly significant road impacts from this band of snow squalls here, as temperatures have started to drop down into the low 40s right now, upper 30s in some areas here. Especially given the colder air we do have in place aloft right now. Thank you all for joining. And here, give me 1 second to get this up for y'all, and we can break down kind of how things are going to be looking and the pain points for Wyoming over the next few days here. Okay, here we go. And it looks like, let me get these up here. There we go. Now we have the models up for y'all. And this is where we do stand right now. This is our band of snow squalls out in front of the main batch of precipitation right here. This is an area of low pressure that's kind of been sitting over the Pacific Northwest for a little bit here, but now we're starting to get a little bit of a phasing between the jet stream and the system right here, the polar jet and the subtropical jet, which is helping to eject this out across Wyoming and Montana right now. So this is just our main cold front that's moving through at this point, bringing in that colder air aloft so that we can get snow in to the area and down to the surface into the valley floors here, as this system does impact us through the next few days right now over the next hour. And as we push through the next few hours through the afternoon here, you can see that northwesterly flow really starts pushing in that moisture to the Tetons here, which looks like is where our most consistent snow shower activity is going to be focused for the afternoon today and even overnight tonight. And this is where we're expecting the highest totals to occur, especially given the National Weather Service has issued winter weather advisories for the Tetons and even down to the salts. I don't think the salts are going to get into this as much as, say, the Tetons, Jackson Hole, and the Alpine area here across western Wyoming. As we go through the night tonight, we can see things start to get a little more showery as we do get a little more dry air influence behind our cold front here, which is pretty common when we do have northwesterly flow situations across the state of Wyoming. But it does appear that behind the front, there is going to be a second wave of lift that does help bring out some more persistent snow shower activity as we head into the morning hours on Thursday and into the early afternoon hours here. It does look pretty showery on this model depiction right here, but I do expect this to be a little bit more widespread just from past events we have seen across Wyoming. All of this is going to be pretty much here across Wyoming as our upper level temperatures are going to be below freezing, especially just right above the surface there. And then right at about the top of Teton Pass, we're going to be expecting temperatures at least in the mid-20s, potentially even the lower 20s there, which will really help stack up the snowfall totals. So looking at exact snowfall totals, because this is not the only story we're looking at with this system here, exact snowfall totals in the valleys, again, it's going to be more the snow squalls we're going to be looking at for our primary source of accumulation here. So Jackson Hole, Star Valley, not expecting it to stack up all that much, but we definitely could see a quick inch or two out of, say, this first band of snow squalls, and then any snow squalls that do impact the valleys through the afternoon hours on Thursday. The main threat is going to be for the mountain passes here, where pretty treacherous conditions are going to be expected, not only with this first band of snow squalls, but especially tonight as we head into the evening commute and morning commute tomorrow, as that more persistent snow shower activity starts to set up. Right along Teton Pass here, I do think these models, since they are really enhancing the convection more than will actually occur, I do think they are a little overzealous on Teton Pass and Togety Pass here, but I do see the potential, if we do get that persistent snow shower activity setting up, that we do see potentially 8 to 12 inches across Teton Pass there, and potentially upwards of 18 inches along the actual spine of the Teton. So if you are out hiking this morning, I would definitely recommend getting out of the Tetons before the main wind and snow event hits later this afternoon. That is for sure. Right now, not all that intense, but that's going to go downhill, especially across the higher terrain and ridge lines as we head into the afternoon and especially into the evening and overnight hours tonight. As for Togety Pass, the wind aloft is not aligned very well to get significant snowfall here, not nearly as much as the Tetons, but definitely still potential for, say, 4 to 6 inches of snow to fall. And as we head over to eastern Wyoming here, it does look like the persistent snow is not going to occur like was previously expected by the National Weather Service here, but snow squall activity is certainly going to be a possibility as we head into the central basins here, say around Graybull, Cody, and then down to the Riverton area here. Lander as well. Certainly isolated snow squalls that could limit visibility for a short amount of time are certainly possible. And then, of course, the normal areas that would get impacted by snow squalls as well. We do have Casper Mountain and potentially even into Casper getting impacted by these, although models do have a hard time picking up on exactly where snow squalls are going to occur. This is just a general idea that if you are in eastern Wyoming or in any of the western valleys, it is going to be possible over the next few days that you could have brief whiteout conditions, but after those whiteout conditions pass through, generally we should be looking at partly cloudy to mostly cloudy skies, and that snow should melt away under our high sun angle pretty quickly here. The next story we're going to be talking about here after the snow does look like everybody, for the most part, is going to remain snow here, but it is going to be our wind. As typical for Wyoming, we are expecting some pretty significant wind out of this system, especially, let me bring up this map for y'all just so you can kind of see what I'm talking about here. So as we go in to Thursday morning into late Wednesday night here, we are anticipating a real big ramp up in wind, especially just on the downwind side of the Wind Rivers and Absaroka range here, especially Cody down through Lander. It looks like that is where the most significant wind speeds are going to be expected with this system, especially overnight tonight, where winds will remain sustained pretty low for Wyoming standards around the 35 to 40 mile an hour range. But wind gusts, we could get a couple of rogue gusts upwards of 100 miles an hour, especially up by Cody there, and then just to the north of Lander as well. That is this red area we're looking at right here. So this would be Cody up to the north, and then just north of Lander on the southern blob right here. And we could see those rogue gusts, especially with the way the winds are aligned with the mountain ridge lines here, upwards of 100 miles an hour. And that is definitely going to be something we need to watch. The good news is this is happening overnight, so we may not get the heat needed at the surface to actually realize these higher wind gusts aloft down to the surface. That could be our saving grace there. But just realize there is a potential for those rogue gusts reaching the surface if we do get some compressional warming off the downwind side of the mountains here. So definitely something to keep in mind. Also, widespread winds out by Casper and along the I-25 and I-80 corridor, especially by Elk Mountain, Rollins, and Casper up to Casey here. We can be expecting a general gusty overnight tonight as that cold front does pass through. With wind gusts, we do have high wind warnings out here and red flag warnings up to about 50 to 70 miles an hour. That seems about the max that I'm looking at right now, just given that our winds aloft are not overly excessive at this point. But certainly hurricane force wind gusts could be possible, or just below hurricane force wind gusts on I-80, especially on the eastern side of Elk Mountain, and also from I-25 going from Casper up through Casey here. Definitely need to keep an eye out for that. But this is something we're certainly used to across these areas, unless you're a truck driver that doesn't normally travel these areas, definitely pay attention to any posted road signs about any bans to high and light profile vehicles there, or light and high profile vehicles, as that can get pretty dangerous over in these areas. So definitely heed those warnings. And then the main threat overnight tonight is going to be from Cody to the Lander area here, where we could see wind gusts, road gusts up to 100 miles an hour overnight tonight. So just keep that in mind. It's not a guarantee we'll get those 100-mile-an-hour gusts to the surface, but it is certainly a possibility that we do need to watch out for, as this is a little bit more in the abnormal range for Wyoming standards. Usually only get, say, 4 or 5 of these events a year. Definitely a place that we're pretty used to wind, so not a huge issue. But the next issue we're going to be looking at here is going to be the dry conditions that are in place with these winds at the surface here. So what we're seeing during the daytime today, as those winds do start to increase into the evening and overnight hours tonight, this is a look at our humidity values. So we're around 17% out here in eastern Wyoming, northeastern Wyoming, and then you also see that clustering of higher humidity values here along the Tetons and the upwind western facing slopes of the Tetons here. No fire risk in that area, but as we do head over to the east of the Wind Rivers here and the Absarokas, we definitely get into those drier conditions, and given those warmer temperatures and higher surface winds that are going to be existing east of the divide, we can expect an increased fire danger, especially given the red flag warnings that are currently in place right now for these areas by the National Weather Service in Riverton and Cheyenne there. So definitely, if you are doing any open burning or planning on doing it, I would not do it anytime in the next 2 to 3 days there, as we work through this higher wind event. And then once conditions calm, which it does look like they are going to calm within the next 3 days or so, then you can go out and do those open burns once those relative humidity values return back to normal and the winds get back to a lighter state there. So also another thing to keep in mind as we head through these next few days, and also any lightning strikes that do come from any of these snow squalls that are going to be impacting in isolated fashion across and just east of the divide here, those could also start fires if we do get any cloud to ground strikes. So definitely keep an eye out and report any fires that are not prescribed burns if you do see any smoke out in these areas here, especially since they'll be able to spread pretty fast if they do start there. So I'll go over here to the comments. Doesn't look like we have any requested point forecast for now. But if you guys do have any questions, please feel free to put them down in the comments below here, and we'll be happy to answer them for you. But other than that, y'all have a great day and stay safe out there, especially if you're traveling over Teton Pass or Togety Pass there over the next 10-15 minutes here as these snow squalls do pass through. I'll pull up the radar one last time for y'all here. These are the snow squalls we're looking at for right now. I can pull it. Hold on here. But the snow squalls, while I am trying to get this back up, it does look like they are reaching the Palisades right now, and they are going to be moving into Alpine here shortly and into the northern Star Valley, especially with potentially whiteout conditions, as long as those cold temperatures hold steady down here in the Star Valley. Also, those higher winds can be expected as you head up through the Snake River Canyon for the next 15, 20, 30 minutes there, and then up into Jackson. That'll be the northern end of those more dangerous conditions as these snow squalls do move through the area, as we are looking at the apex of the bow, which is about to impact the Palisades Reservoir here. So while we're waiting for these to move on through, I just wait another 5 or 10 minutes if you're heading out the door. Let them pass through, and then things should improve behind this band of pretty heavy snowfall and snow squalls with embedded lightning that are about to roll through the northern Star Valley, Snake River Canyon, and into the southern half of Jackson Hole in Wyoming here. So have a great day, everybody, and we will talk to you in the next live. We're going to try to do these a little more consistently now, just as you can get points across a little bit better on these lives than we are able to just through a long text message, because sometimes people don't read all those. So have a great day, everyone, and we'll talk to you later.